Yo, what's up guys, it's Peace and Craft here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a mutant mob tier list. So as you can see, we've got all the mobs down here from various mutant mob mods. I'll have them linked in the description. And here's the tier list. As usual, S tier is the best, then A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, E tier, and finally the worst is F tier. Now, I've played all of these mods that these mobs are from, so I understand all the abilities of the mutants in this video, so I'll be running through their abilities and what makes them good, what makes them bad, potentially some issues that some of the mobs have, and let's get into it. So first we have the mutant jungle zombie. This is from the new Mutant More mod. Now, the mutant jungle zombie has a few cool abilities. It has this arm over here that's actually some kind of a, I don't even know how I would explain it. It's like a long tentacle that can grab things and hold them up and do damage that way. Can also jump pretty far. Can do a dust cloud that does damage, and it actually has 4 lives, just like the traditional mutant zombie from the mutant creatures mod, which is that one down there. But I would personally say this mob is very well done. Like, this whole new mutant more mod that's called the Mutant More mod, it's really good. There's no bugs that I know of with the mobs, and it's a pretty is pretty consistent with most of the mobs. I personally say these are quite hard to defeat and very well made, so I think it's definitely a solid B tier. I would go higher, but it's not as original as some of these other mobs in the video that are going to be coming up, but it's pretty cool. And just like the mutant zombie, it can summon jungle zombies if you're using the dungeon mobs mod with it, or even if you're not. Actually, I think it can still do them. But anyway, next up we have the mutant husk from the Mutant More mod as well, same mod as the jungle zombie. The husk is super cool. It can throw down both arms and create this massive sand feature that flings mobs up, and then it jumps up and swanton bombs them like the mutant zombie of the mutant monsters mod, or mutant creatures mod. This one's really unique, well made, hard to defeat. It only has 2 lives, but yeah, I think it has actually got 300 HP on the first life, so it makes sense that it only has 2 lives. I think this is personally one of my favorite mutant mobs, and I'm kind of torn between S and A tier, but I'll put it in A tier, and I'll kind of think about that as this video goes on, but I think it's a solid A tier. Okay, now let's get into the next mob, which is the mutant hoglin, which is also off the Mutant More mod. This is a really unique one, obviously. It has a few cool new features, because there's actually an old Mutant More mod where they don't have as cooler features. They're a little more buggy, not as compatible with mutant creatures. But I would personally say this mutant hoglin is really cool. It can kick back its enemies, it can charge at you, and when it actually dies, it kind of stretches up and then falls to the ground, doing damage to everything around it. It's really cool, kind of like the husk, very unique, good features, no bugs. I think it's got 200 HP, very difficult to defeat. Probably not as difficult as the husk, but still, just because it's so unique, I'm probably going to lean towards a B tier for this. Okay, just because the features aren't really as cool as the husk, I would say. Now we have the classic mutant zombie from the Mutant Creatures mod. I mean, the Mutant Creatures mod is like responsible for all of these mods. They all obviously were inspired by the original Mutant Creatures, or its Mutant Beasts, I think was the first one. It was for 1.7.10, and there's been heaps of remakes with slightly different names, but the same 5 mobs, and the same abilities for all 5 mobs. Obviously, the mutant zombie has 3 lives, then on the 4th it actually does die, so I guess it's actually 4 lives, but It can summon zombies, it can throw both hands down and do like a damaging effect on the ground where it moves. The damage kind of moves, so it deals multiple damage per hit. I mean, it's super original. It's like an OG. The features honestly are not as cool as the new Mutant More mod, but you know, if this mod wasn't created, I feel like we wouldn't have any of these, so it gets a solid B tier. Okay, next we have the Mutant Frozen Zombie. It's somewhat similar to the Mutant Jungle Zombie, except it summons a lot of snow around it, and it has this feature where it can throw ice and freeze the enemies in a block of ice, but a lot of them don't actually stop moving, as opposed to like the Frostmaw of Mousie's mobs. When that freezes a mob or a player, you can't move, but you can kind of move when this Mutant Jungle Zombie freezes you. It summons frozen zombies off the Dungeons mod, Dungeons mobs mod. And yeah, it can throw, and when it summons the ice spikes, it can throw one at you. It's pretty cool, but just because the fact that when it freezes you, it doesn't like fully stop you moving, I feel like that's a negative, because you shouldn't be able to move inside a solid block of ice. It has 3 lives. I think it has 1 less than the Mutant Zombie and the Mutant Jungle Zombie, but it's pretty cool. It gets a solid C tier, which as you can see is right in the middle, so it's not good, it's not bad, it's well made, can't complain. Okay, now we have the Mutant Blaze off the Mutant More mod. This is one of my favorites. It has these it has this feature where it rounds up the little blaze things that float around it, and it throws them, and it summons these things called rodlings, which are like baby blazes, and they also do damage to you when you're fighting it. It has multiple shields, and when it dies, it actually levitates up even higher, and it explodes, shooting out all these little yellow things around it. And at the end, when you kill it, you can go and pick them up, and you will get a rodling, which you can have as a pet, which is pretty cool. And honestly, just for that, I'm gonna have to give it an A tier. It has a really cool death, similar to the hoglin, except a little cooler. I think it's just a really well-made mob, and from an amazing mod, so gets to A tier. We have not had one bad mob yet, but trust me, we're gonna get to some that I'm not the biggest fan of, but yeah. Now we have the Mutant Wither Skeleton, also off the Mutant More mod. It's honestly amazing. The remake from old Mutant More to the new Mutant More is next level. Like, some of these really got a step up, and in particular I think the Mutant Wither Skeleton got an amazing step up. It has so many cool features, like it dives at you, does a heap of roly-polies, and then sticks its swords in the ground to stop itself, which I think is really aesthetically pleasing. It also has a feature where it can hold its swords together in a cross and knock you back, which also defends the Mutant Wither Skeleton from attacks. It also shoots like a big dust cloud that does damage to you, and when its bones around the chest go out and go in, it does damage and re-heals it, so it has a pretty cool re-heal feature. I'm a really big fan. I'm personally going to give it an A tier. I just think it's amazing and super unique. Okay, now we have the classic mutant skeleton from the Mutant Beasts or Mutant Creatures mod. Depends on the game version you're using, on what to call it. This one's really cool. I mean, honestly, it's, got a cool knockback feature where it hits you with the bow and it knocks you back. It can jump up and shoot multiple arrows at once, and then it can just shoot arrows. And also, obviously, when it dies, it breaks into all the little, little bone pieces which you can pick up, and you can actually pick up the head and use it as a helmet, which is pretty cool. Which actually, I forgot to mention, the Mutant Wither Skeleton has that same kind of death feature as well, where it breaks apart and you can use it to craft armor, just like the Mutant Skeleton. It's pretty solid. It's kind of easier to kill, I would say, though. It's only got 150 HP, and yeah, it doesn't do as much damage when it hits you with the bow as some of these other ones do, like the mutant with a skeleton. So personally, I'm gonna give it a C tier, which means it's just solid. I mean, like I said before, without this mod that it's from, none of these would exist, so I can't really give it anything below average. Okay, now we have the mutant shulker, which is from the Mutant More mod. Honestly, this is insanely cool, this mob. When it dies, it shoots out all of these orbs, which obviously make you levitate, and then it explodes. It also has a feature where it can go into its shell and it re-heals. It can jump up and land on top of you, doing damage to you that way. It can obviously shoot out the orbs and make you levitate. And it has this feature where the shells open up and clamp on you, and it does damage that way. Super unique. I think it's got 300 HP, super difficult to defeat, really tricky because of the fact that it can shell up and you literally can't do anything to damage it when it's re-healing. I would personally give this an A tier. I mean, it's, really solid, I think. Honestly, so far, the only ones that have A tier is the Mutant More mod. Okay, now we have the Mutant Snow Golem from the Mutant Creatures mod. It's got low HP and it doesn't do a lot of damage. It just kind of throws. It has one, feature where it just throws these ice blocks at you. There's no issues with the design. I think it's only got 80 HP, so it's one of the weakest mutant mobs. It naturally fights all of these just like a Snow Golem would in game. I don't really have much to say about it because it doesn't have a lot of features. I'll give it a D tier personally, even though I just said before that I couldn't give the OG mutant mobs lower than a C. I'm gonna have to. Alright, now we have the Mutant Creeper off the same mod that the Snow Golem, Skeleton, and Zombie are from. This is kind of interesting. I mean, it's got 120 HP, so not quite as much as a Mutant Skeleton, but I would say it's more difficult to kill than a Mutant Skeleton. It can jump up very fast and jump down and explode, obviously, but unlike a normal creeper where they die when they explode, it doesn't die or do damage to itself by exploding. Just like a normal creeper, if it's struck by lightning, it becomes a charged mutant creeper. It can re-heal as well, and it can summon these creeper minions that do damage as well. Can attack you with its head just, I guess, biting you. It's got really good movement, cool how it walks around, so I give it a solid B tier. And when it dies, it explodes and it pulls everything into it before it explodes, so it's definitely not easy to deal with. You need some blast protection stuff if you're fighting it. Okay, now we have the Mutant Enderman off the traditional Mutant Creatures mod. This will be the last, well, actually not quite. I was going to say the last mob from that original mod, but I guess we have the Spider Pig coming up later. But anyway, this Mutant Enderman, obviously it's quite difficult to defeat. It can teleport, it can break apart into heaps of little purple Endermen. It can clamp its hands together, knocking you up in the air. It can pick up and interact with blocks by picking them up and throwing them at you. Obviously a really tough opponent. It's got 200 HP, and yeah, I would personally give it a C tier. It's solid. Definitely difficult to defeat, but it's more of a time-consuming opponent rather than something that, you've got a high risk of dying to, like a shulker. Okay, now we have the Mutant Evoker. This is literally from its own mod. Just the Mutant Evoker mod. I'll leave that in the description. I wouldn't give it a high rating, honestly. This one has a few flaws in the design, I would say. Like, when it's moving, it just kind of slides on the ground. It doesn't have any animation to it walking. It does have 2 lives when it's on low HP. It has like a totem that keeps it alive. yeah, it's not. It doesn't even really function like a normal evoker. It just kind of walks at you, slides at you, and does damage. I'll leave the mod linked in the description, so if you want to play it, you can see. But I'm gonna unfortunately have to give it an F tier. It's gonna be the first F tier of the video, but yeah, hopefully the mod improves over time. Maybe someone wants to make a better mutant evoker mod. But yeah. Now we have the mutant warden, which is from the mutated mobs mod. I'll leave that in the description as well, like all the other mods. I like the design. Honestly, it gets like it gets a S tier just for like design, and you know, we needed a mutant warden mod for PC because it took a long time for this to come out. It's only available for, I believe, 1.19 and above. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit buggy. Like sometimes if you spawn it using like no AI, if you view from a certain angle, you can't view it. I think that was fixed in the newer versions though, so I can't take away points for that. It's got a lot of HP. I think it's got like 600 HP, and the hitbox is very small. Like even though it's quite big of a mob, the hitbox is still like very small. So that's one negative about it. But honestly, the design is cool. It's got heaps of devastating attacks. Like it can just shoot these explosive charges at you. It can obviously pick its arms up and put them down, and that damages you, but it doesn't like knock you back or anything. So it's not as interactive as some of these other mobs from like the new Mutant More mod. But just on like design and how unique it is, I think I have to give it a C tier, you know? Because I'm sure this was really difficult to make. I mean, with some improvements like to the hitbox and some of the, you know, the attacks like actually hitting you and maybe knocking you back, making it a little more realistic, that would definitely bump it up to an A tier, or who knows, potentially even a S tier. But at the moment, actually, yeah, I'm going to give it a C. Okay, now we have the evolved mutant drowned from the Mutant Entities mod, which is not as well known as some of these other mods in terms of total downloads. And that's, that's honestly for good reason as well. It's probably not as good as some of these other ones. Does a lot of damage. I think it's got like 200 HP. I like the design though. You know, it just kind of moves forward and hits you with the trident in its hand. I'll give it a E tier, not too much to say. The mod will be linked in the description though. Okay, now we have the mutant zoglin, also from the mutated mobs mod. So the same mod as the mutant warden. Honestly, I mean, really difficult to destroy, kind of similar to the warden where the hitbox is a bit weird, and it has this one attack where it jumps up and then goes down and hits you, but when it goes to like shoot up in the air, you actually like lose sight of it. Like it doesn't shoot up, but it comes down. It's kind of a glitch. But yeah, that's one of its attacks, and then another's just like hitting you with the tasks. Nowhere near as cool as the mutant hoglin, but I mean, I'd have to give it, honestly, it's going to be like an E tier for me, just because, you know, you have the mutant hoglin, which is just so much better, and they're obviously very similar, you know. Okay, now we have the mutant ravager off the mutated mobs mod, so the same as the zoglin and the warden. This is very difficult to defeat, almost actually impossible. Your best bet if you come across one of these is to run. I mean, they do a ton of damage. It has one attack where it just like goes up on its legs and drops down and does, I don't even know how much damage. It has a ton of HP, I think like maybe like 900 or 600, I can't remember. But honestly, just because the fact that the design is so cool, it probably would have been very difficult to come up with this. I mean, the hitbox is similar to the warden and the zoglin, not the best, but they do keep improving this mod and adding new mobs, so I'm gonna have to give it a solid C tier. I mean, it's great. You're not gonna get a mutant ravager on PC on any other mod, so yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a solid C tier. Now we have the mutant stray off the same mod that the ravager's from, the mutated mobs, not mods. Whenever it summons a heap of skeletons and kind of crouches down and shoots you with a bow. It's kind of annoying. I mean, sorry, it doesn't summon skeletons, it summons strays, but it's kind of honestly annoying, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's got a cool design. It's not really much to say. It's a solid E tier. Now we have the mutant zombie villager, which is off the mutated mobs mod. It's pretty cool. It makes its head grow large and like kind of attack you like that. It doesn't have a lot of HP. Makes a very obnoxiously loud sound, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's not bad. The design's a little basic. It's similar to a mutant. I mean, to a iron golem, but you know, it does have cool features with the head attacking forward. So solid D tier, I would say. Now we have the mutant iron golem from the mutated mobs mod. It's a solid mob. I mean, probably the best from that mod, if you ask me. There's obviously the hitbox is a little bit annoying, but you know it does the same attack every time, so it's not as diverse in attacks like the warden. But it's honestly pretty solid. And honestly, thinking about the diversity in attacks from the warden, I kind of want to bump it up to B tier. Actually, now that I think about it, just because you know, it has multiple attacks. It's a really cool design, and I mean, it's a warden. It's literally godlike. It's probably the strongest mutant mob of this video. So I'm going to give it a B tier. But this isn't ranking who's the strongest. This is ranking who's the coolest, like the best design, the best attacks, the most unique. That's what I'm giving points for in this video. So I'm going to move the warden up to B, and I'm going to move the iron golem into C. The Mutant Entities mod, which this drowned is from, has a pretty cool iron golem as well, except it has like 1000 HP and it does like the same attack every time. I would say this iron golem's a little better, but they're both cool, you know. Now we have the Mutant Strider off the Mutated Mobs mod. This is really cool. It has its own theme song, which is catchy. It does just like shoot lava at you and shoot explosive fire beams at you, but it looks so scary. It's like the scariest design out of all of these mobs. So I'm really impressed with this, just based on the design and the music. I think it's awesome. So honestly, I'm gonna have to give it an A tier. I mean, how could you not? Okay, now let's just do the spider pig first, obviously off the OG mutant beasts or mutant creatures mod. Not as cool. I think it's got like 40 HP, just shoots spiders and jumps at you. Not too much to say. I'm just going to give it a solid D tier. Okay, now we have the mutant ender dragon off the mutated mobs mod. This is really awesome, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I was make that bigger. Look at the design. I mean, you can't really see it. It's kind of blurry in here, but it's an awesome design. It's got its own theme song. It's really hard to destroy. As you can see, it's got like the end crystals above it that like constantly re-heal it. I mean, it is a little buggy, but the design's cool. It's got its own theme song, and it's the Ender Dragon. Like, how could you not give it an A tier, you know? Okay, now we have the Mutant Wither. I mean, as you can see, it's got like a command block similar to the Wither Storm. It's got its own theme song, does a lot of damage, except it can be kind of annoying because it goes up very high and in the air and doesn't come down for a very long time. So, and when I say it goes high in the air, not just like a normal wither, like very high, like 3 times the height that the normal wither hovers at. So, definitely a bit annoying to kill, but it's really cool. Has a lot of like lightning attacks. Yeah, I mean, I like the design. It's pretty awesome. I'd personally give it a solid B tier. And honestly, looking at this list, we've got to give one mob here an S tier. And honestly, I'm thinking it's got to be a mob from the Mutant mod. I think that's the best mutant mod ever made. I cannot decide. Honestly, I feel like all of these four are like a little step above these two. So I think what we're actually going to do here is I'm going to put the husk up here, the blaze up here, the wither skeleton, the shulker, and then I'm actually going to put the jungle zombie, the mutant hoglin, and the OG mutant zombie up here, just because, you know, putting them all together, I feel like looking at where I've ranked things, that makes the most sense. So now we're going to put the mutant wither, the mutant creeper, and the mutant warden in B tier. So as you can see, guys, this is the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, tell me if you like this video, what I could do better, and I'll see you guys in the next video.